We've done 68 coast to coast. I have ridden 43 of the 68.
How do you work up to those kinds of distances?
You really don't train them as such. You recommend, and you tell them that the minimum should be 15 miles a day for a coast to coast and 50 miles on the weekend. But you get in shape the first 2 weeks of the coast to coast trip on the road.
There is a mental part to the challenge.
Oh man, in fact, it is all, the brain's connected to the muscles more than we realize. The challenge, getting ready for something like this is, in fact, some of the strongest riders I've had initially looked like Greek gods, but their brains started working on them halfway across, and all of a sudden they became the slow pokes, the ones who didn't have the get up and go, and my little skinny kids who couldn't even make a water boy team were the ones the ramrodders.
Why is that?
I guess the common thread would be that they see themselves as being a worthy competitor with the whole team. And I can almost anymore know who these people are. They're a little bit bashful and stand back a little bit initially, but before long they're the ones with the bright eyes and a smiley face and saying, hey, they're like a lead dog in a sled team. They're ready to go after about 2 weeks, and the big old tough guys who you thought were going to be your leaders winding up following the little mutts.
After you perform, for the first time, it's so overwhelming, and so many people are in the stands just watching you, and it's one of the best feelings I've ever had.
What is that like?
My first time performing, it was crazy. I was so nervous, and it's like you get on field, and it's just like you hit a switch, and it's just, I don't know, you just go, and it's awesome. And it's just the feeling you get after the show, and you stand there and the whole crowd is clapping.
There are very few places you could live and learn that you could walk a high wire. We provide that opportunity. And what that translates to in other communities has nothing to do with circus. What it says is provide all the opportunities you can for young people and let them find their thing, whatever it is that they do the best. We chintz on things like swimming pools and violin programs or string programs in schools, and it just worries me that an awful lot of our young people because of that, are never going to find out that they could be a Michael Phelps or that they could be a virtuoso violinist because the opportunity is not provided for them to try those things. So I think the great message here outside of Peru is, for goodness sakes, provide kids with every possible opportunity to develop their talents.
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, Mississippi. A little bit of history. Now, this is where the 3 civil rights workers were killed in the 1960s. I was a high school teacher there doing this event. And the people who were involved in that, the sheriff and the deputy, I used to stand as close to them when I was a high school teacher there as I am to you. But the time that I grew up, people had no inhibitions about calling you the N-word. They'd call you that. As a matter of fact, you heard that more often than not. And
just casually, not necessarily in heat or.
No, just this was the word that they thought they should call you. And even guys that like you, supposedly, this is what you were referred to. So people would tell you whatever they thought about you or whatever they said. Whereas now, people will conceal their feelings and things with it. And so I think that's what we're dealing with.
Let Jesus be. Let him be yours.
Indiana Weekend, real radio from just down the road. Look for that name on Facebook and drop us a line to let us know what you think at indianaweekend@gmail.com.
No pack? Pack is here. Flight 71 struts the pack, Major.
I think in the beginning it was just viewed more as a feminine sport. It was kind of an empowering thing for women, all types of women, any type of women, to play something as brutal as roller derby. these are sweet ladies, but there's no better feeling than, specifically for me, I'm a small person. There's nothing more fulfilling than taking down the girl that's twice as big as you on the track. It's just a nice thing, especially a little housewife like me. You know, I'm sitting at home with my 2.5-year-old playing in the backyard, and then I get to come knock girls down that are way bigger than me. That's great.
The Beatles were not knowledgeable in a way of they did not know how to notate. That they actually were very lucky to have had George Martin along to help them do all of the things that they needed in that particular regard. But what they were is they were highly intuitive. They were able to orally grasp sounds and use them. So all of those important musical aspects that might be expected to occur in music, they were doing. One of the things that occurs in music, and this is 1,000 years old, is that melodies have nice arch shapes. And if you go back and look at Beatles melodies, they start relatively low. They find a single high pitch very often in that particular melody, and they come back down. So yes, the Beatles were not only doing things that were meaningful at that time, they were actually capturing musical goals that have been a part of a 1,000-year history.
The rear cockpit is the pilot's position, and the front cockpit is the passenger or the instructor position. The open cockpit airplane biplane is the way to go. I would just much rather fly something like this. Like I say, I flew 35 years corporate flying all over the country, and it's every day I would think, well, when can I get to fly a sport airplane next? You know, a lot of people have never even been in an airplane.
What we do here is we take in Indiana X Racers. Those are horses that either no longer are competitive or we've had to step in for an abuse or neglect situation. We take them here, we recondition them, retrain them, get them healthy and sound, and then they are put up for adoption. These horses are straight from the track. When we get them, they could have raced the day before or maybe even that day. We get them in and...
Wait a minute, who's that?
That's Tin Man. He is a grandson to Secretariat. Tin Man coming. We also... Second phase of this is we give hope to offenders. They learn to give back. They learn compassion.
We are a full-service coffee shop, espresso bar. We do some absolutely fantastic baked goods. We make a quiche that is to die for. And we also like to take care of our people in a hurry on the way to work. We make these little baby quiches that are great pick-up-to-go things. But we can do anything a full-service coffee shop in Italy does, for instance.
But you have a special philosophy when it comes to your customers here.
Yes, I do. They're my family. I would call it that. They're more than a potential sale to me. My customers are much more than a potential sale. We want to provide what they want, what they need every day, and we do it in a way that makes them feel part of the family. So now you make something like that, then you hand it over to your customer.
Thank you, sir.
And that's a feeling of satisfaction that pushing a button in a factory just cannot give you.
You like doing this?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Who doesn't want to get up in the morning and make coffee and sit around and play their guitar when it's a little slow? Come on. It's really nice. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
The president has a set of fifth-grade grandparents that are buried here. They were born in the 1700s. That's how far back his roots go, and they are direct fifth-grade grandparents. He has a set of fifth grade, two sets of fourth, a set of third, and a set of seconds that were either born here, married here, lived here, or were buried here. And then, of course, literally thousands of aunts, uncles, and cousins that are either buried here or still alive, living here in the county. You have Native American history here for hundreds of years. And this was actually the last piece of land that the Miami owned in the state. This was the final reserve that they had hunting and fishing rights on until they gave it up when Tipton became a county in 1844. And so the government comes in and they parcel all this off, and you have this, westward expansion of these great pioneer families that are risking it all, coming from Virginia and Pennsylvania, down and through Ohio. Then you have the first African-American president, and that's the American story. That's the true American story.